Hello students. Students, today we are going to see Science 2 lesson number 1, Heredity and Evolution. In that, first we will discuss about the paper pattern and then we will see the important points of the lesson. Okay, so first we will see the paper pattern of Science 2. See the paper pattern. Here total 4 questions are there. In that, question number 1A, 5 questions of 1 mark each. In that, total 5 questions are there and only textbook based questions are involved in this question. Question number 1B, 5 questions of 1 mark each, but in that no fill in the blanks question. It means only objective type questions are involved in this 1B question. Question number 2A, 3 scientific reason questions of 2 marks each. It means total 3 scientific reasons are there. From that you have to attempt any 2 questions, and for how much marks? For 4 marks. Here question number 2B, 5 questions of 2 mark each. You have to attempt any 3 questions, and in that minimum 2 from biology and 2 from EVS. So it is for 6 mark. Attempt any 3 questions. After that, question number 3. In that total 8 questions are there of 3 marks each, and out of 8 questions you have to attempt any 5 questions. For how much marks? For 15 marks. And last question, question number 4. Total 2 questions are there for 5 marks. In that you have to attempt only 1 for 5 marks. In that 1 from biology and 1 from EVS. So total 40 marks paper marks distribution is here. Now let us start the important points of the lesson. In important points, we will see the information related to the scientist. But before that, I want to discuss about the heredity. Now what is the meaning of heredity? Heredity means it is the transfer of biological character from one generation to the another generation via genes. Now biological characters means which characters are there? In that some physical characters are there, mental characters are there, which get transferred from one generation to the another generation. Now in this lesson, in heredity and evolution, first we will discuss about the scientist who had invented the different researches related to the hereditary changes. So let us discuss about it. See, the first one, name of the scientist is here, Gregor Johann Mendel. Gregor Johann Mendel is the pioneer of the modern genetics, and therefore he is known as the father of modern genetics. Okay. After that, the next scientist names are Oswald Avery, Maclean McCarthy and Colin McLeod. Oswald Avery, Maclean McCarthy and Colin McLeod that proposed that except viruses, all living organisms have DNA as the genetic material. After that, the next scientist names are Francois Jacob, Jacques Monod. These 2 scientists proposed the process of protein synthesis, and this process is known as the translation process. Willard Libby invented the carbon dating method, and for that purpose Willard Libby has been awarded with Nobel Prize. The next scientist name is Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin proposed the theory of natural selection. The next scientist name is Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. The theory of inheritance of acquired characteristic. What is the name of this? Lamarckism. Lamarckism means the theory of inheritance of acquired characteristic, and it is proposed by the Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. The next scientists are Francis Crick and James Watson. These both scientists studied the process of central dogma. Now central dogma means what? About this, in next point we will see the details. See, the next scientist name is Hugo de Vries. Hugo de Vries proposed mutational theory. And the last scientist name is Dr. Hargobind Khorana. Hargobind Khorana invented the triplet codons for amino acid, and for that Dr. Hargobind Khorana has been awarded with the Nobel Prize. So this full information is there which is related to the some hereditary changes which are invented by the different scientists. Now let us see the next point of the lesson. Okay, now we will see about the central dogma. Now central dogma means what? Already you know that information about protein is stored in the DNA, and the synthesis of this protein occurs in two steps. Now which are two steps are there by which the process of central dogma occurs? In that the first one process is related to the transcription and the another one is a translation. Now what is the meaning of transcription? Transcription means in which RNA is synthesized from the DNA. Okay, and translation means what? In which protein is synthesized from the RNA. And these are the main two processes are there by which central dogma process occurs. It means here the synthesis of this protein occurs in two steps. A RNA molecule is synthesized from the DNA that encodes the protein, and from this RNA, the RNA molecule, the protein is synthesized, and this is whole process is known as the central dogma. Now see the next one process about the transcription. Now only we have discussed what in central dogma main two processes takes place, transcription and the translation. Now we will see the details about the transcription. See here, transcription means what? The process of synthesis of RNA from DNA is known as the transcription. Only one of the strand of the double-stranded DNA is used for the synthesis of RNA. In previous standard you have studied DNA is made up of the double strand, but in transcription process only one strand is useful. For which purpose? For synthesis of RNA. In that the RNA molecule that is formed from the DNA encoding protein is called mRNA. There are total three main types of that RNA present. In that mRNA is there, tRNA is there, and rRNA is there. So in that the RNA molecule that is formed from the DNA encoding protein is called as a mRNA, and this mRNA, this sequence of mRNA produced will be complementary to the DNA strand used for the synthesis. Whatever mRNA is formed in the nucleus, it first comes into the cytoplasm. Observe this diagram carefully. In transcription process, how this process takes place? mRNA produced in the nucleus first comes where? In the cytoplasm. At that time it brings coded message by the DNA, and this coded message contains the codes for amino acid, and each amino acid consists of 3 nucleotides, and it is known as the triplet codon. Here RNA polymerase, RNA nucleotides are there. Now nucleotides means what? Nucleotides means pair of nitrogenous base. Now nitrogenous base means there are total 2 pairs are there. Adenine, thymine, one pair is there, and cytosine and the guanine. These are the nitrogenous bases and are known as the nucleotides. And this is about the transcription process. After that we will see the next one point is about the translation process. Now translation means what? The translation means the process of synthesis of proteins from mRNA is called as the translation. It means in translation process protein is synthesized from mRNA. mRNA means what? Messenger RNA. In that each amino acid is represented by 3 codons called triplet codon. Now only in when we have studied about the transcription process. In that we have studied the triplet codon, and hence 3 codons are read at the time on the mRNA during protein synthesis. Now what is the main method is there, or main process is there which occur in the translation? As per the message on the mRNA, amino acids are supplied by the tRNA. Now observe this diagram carefully. Here amino acid means what? Lysine is known as the amino acid, and here as per the message on the mRNA, this amino acid is supplied by tRNA. tRNA means what? Transfer RNA. Okay, and for this purpose tRNA has anticodon which is complementary to codons on mRNA. Now tRNA has anticodon means, if you will see the downside structure, total 3 nucleotides are there. It means one amino acid is equal to 3 nucleotides, and it is known as the triplet codon. Understanding triplet codon means what? One amino acid having 3 nucleotides there, so it is known as the triplet codon, and this process is known as the translation process. And with this another one process is there, that side by side we are seeing here. In that, during the translation, ribosome moves forward by the distance of one triplet codon. Now where is ribosome present in this diagram? See this structure, this is known as the ribosome, and if you will see the mRNA present is here in the ribosome. Now the next one process is about the translocation process. Okay, now translocation means what? During translation process, ribosome moves forward by the distance of one triplet codon. Ribosome moves how? By the distance of one triplet codon. It means it moves from here one side to the another side, and this is, or this movement is known as the translocation. Here translation written, but what is the name of this process is there? Translocation. The amino acids are linked together in a chain in proteins by peptide bonds here. Now see the next one point about the mutation. Now mutation means what? Mutation is a sudden change occurring in the genes such that any nucleotide. It means changes occur where? In the nucleotide, and it is also related to the changes its position in that nucleotide gets deleted or gets added in the DNA. Here if you will see these two diagram, the main sequence you can observe here carefully, and see the replacement means here mutation takes place. How mutation takes place here? Here see the sequence GAT, and this sequence is TGC. The sequence TGC is replaced by here GAT. Now G means what? Guanine, A means adenine, and T means thymine. So mutation means what? When sudden changes occur in the genes such that any nucleotide, its position, or if it get added or if it gets deleted, such situation or condition is known as the mutation. Mutation sometimes causes the genetic disorder, and for that one example is written here, sickle cell anemia. So, therefore mutation can be advantageous or the disadvantageous. Now let us see the next one point about the evolution. Now evolution means what? Evolution means formation of new species of organism due to progressive development from ancestor, leading to the changes in specific character as a response to natural selection is called as a evolution. Evolution means gradual changes occurring for a long period of time. It is known as also evolution. Now here in next point we will see the evidences of evolution. Now evidences means what? Evidences means proof. There are total 6 proofs are given for your study. For which purpose? As a evidences of evolution. In that the first evidence about the morphological evidences. Now morphological evidences means in that external structures of plant and animals are observed, and If we will see the external structures of plant, morphological means external structures. So if we will observe the external structures of plants and animals of different groups, we can see similarity in these different groups. Related to this point, some diagrams are there in the next slide. At that time I will discuss about it. The next one, evidence about the evolution, is anatomical evidence. Now anatomical means related to the bones and the bony joints. Okay, so if we will see the structure of bones and bony joints of human hand, cat's foreleg, patagium of bat and flippers of whale are similar, and from that this indicates that these organisms also perhaps evolved from the common ancestors. It means if we will see the morphological evidence, it also indicates that they all are have evolved from the common ancestors, or its origin may be the same. So observe this diagram carefully. These are some pictures are there related to the morphological evidence. What you can observe here, you can see the different animals are there, and downside of it different plants are there, but you can see the similarity in the position of the eyes, position of the mouth, position of the nose, position of the ears and body hair also. So you can see the similarity here. Downside of it also you can see the similarity in the shapes of the leaves, color of the leaves and the veins of the leaves also, or the shapes of the fruits also similar there. It means it indicates that that common ancestor of these all living organism. Now the second one, evidence related to the anatomical evidence. In that you can see the bones and the bony joints of human hand, cat's foreleg, patagium of bat, flipper of whale. Now if you will see the structure of bones, here also we can see the similarity which indicates the common ancestor of this organism. Now see the next one point about the vestigial organ. Now vestigial organ means what? Degenerated or undeveloped or useless organ of organism are called as a vestigial organ. In short, vestigial organs are not useful for the living organism. If we want to take the example of vestigial organ, in that appendix, tailbone, wisdom teeth, pinna and body hair. These all are the vestigial organs of the human body. And why they are known as the vestigial organ? Because they are undeveloped or the degenerated parts of the body, and these are not useful to us. So they are known as the vestigial organs. In that, gradually such structures begin to either disappear or remain in the organism as non-functional. Non-functional means which cannot carry any function. These structures, vestigial structures, however, they can be functional in other organisms. Now, how they are functional in other organisms? Observe this diagram carefully. In that, total 4 vestigial organs are there. This is the ear muscle. Here side appendix is there. Here side you can observe the tailbone. Tailbone means what? Coccyx. And the here side you can see the wisdom teeth. So appendix, it is not useful to us, but this in earlier this appendix or it is useful for the ruminants to digest the hard plants. And here the wisdom teeth you can see, it is also not useful to us, but it is useful to chew the rough or tough herbivorous plant to the animals. Now let us see the next one point is about the fossils. Here you can see some pictures related to the fossils. Now fossils means what? Fossils are the remnants and impression of organisms buried underground. These are known as the fossils, and study of these fossils is called as the paleontology. Paleontology means what? Study of fossils. Now this study of fossil is carried out by carbon dating method. Now what is the meaning of carbon dating method? Carbon dating means we know that carbon consumption stops after the death of an organism, and thereby decay of naturally occurring C14 in an organism ensues. Now C14 is a radioactive here. Now age of a fossil can be calculated by observing the ratio between C14 and C12 and carbon against the time. And this phenomenon of studying C14 and C12 ratios in fossil is called as the carbon dating method. It means by using carbon dating method we can calculate the age of the fossil. And how it is calculated? It is calculated by measuring the ratio, by observing the ratio of C14 and the ratio of C14 to C12. Okay, and paleontology suggests that vertebrates have slowly evolved from the invertebrates. Now for this point we will observe one diagram and we will discuss about it. Now here you can see the structure of ground level and the fossils. If we will observe it carefully, from that here we can say that, or it is indicated that vertebrates are slowly appeared from the invertebrates. Here you can see reptiles, amphibia and pisces, and downside of it invertebrates are there. But slowly when evolution starts to occur, it get converted into the vertebrates. So vertebrates are evolved from the invertebrates. Now let us see the next one point about the carbon dating method. Now only we have discussed carbon dating method is useful for which purpose? To calculate the age of plants and animals, and in that carbon dating method is based upon the radioactive decay of naturally occurring C14, and it is developed by Willard Libby, and he has been awarded with Nobel Prize for this invention. The next point is about the connecting link. Whatever points we are discussing here, these all are related to the evidences of evolution. In that the paleontological evidence we have studied, anatomical completed there, morphological evidence is completed there, and after that we have studied about the vestigial organ also. Now the next one evidence related to the connecting link, some information you can see here. In that 3 animal pictures you can observe. In that the first animal name is duckbill platypus, lungfish and the peripatus. Now connecting link means what? There are some morphological characters there we can see in the different types of animals which are the same, and because of the morphological characters are same, they can be related to the 2 different groups. So if we want to see the duckbill platypus shows the relation with the 2 different groups here. In that duckbill platypus lays eggs like reptiles, and they have the mammary glands just like mammals. So duckbill platypus is a connecting link in between the reptiles and the mammals. If we want to see the second one example, lungfish. Lungfish having the body just like a fish, it means it have the fish like body, and so it is related with the pisces, and it having the lungs also, so it performs respiration just with lungs, and it shows the relation with the mammals. Therefore lungfish is a connecting link in between the pisces and the mammals. The third one example is peripatus. Peripatus have the open circulatory system just like a arthropoda, and also have the segmented body like the Annelida. So peripatus is a connecting link between the arthropoda and the Annelida. Okay, now let us see the next one, evidence of embryological evidence. Embryos show extreme similarities during initial stages, and those similarities decreases gradually. Now observe this diagram carefully, then you can see how the similarities, you can see the initial stages of the embryos and how these similarities decreases gradually. Observe this line. Here in first stage, in initial stage, all embryos looks alike, but how the growth starts to occur there, we can see, or these similarities starts to decrease. This is the point about the embryos during different stages, and from that we can indicate that these maybe have same ancestor there. Why they may have the same or common ancestor there or common origin there? Because at initial stages all embryos looks similar, and when gradual development occurs there, at that time this similarity goes on decreasing. Now let us see the next one point about the Darwin's theory of natural selection. Up to here we have studied about the evidences of evolution, and total 6 evidences we have studied there. Now let us see the next one point, Darwin's theory of natural selection. Darwin had collected different or innumerable species of plants and animals, and after the observation of these all species, he had given one theory there related to the natural selection, and the name given as the Darwin's theory of natural selection. Survival of the fittest preached in the theory of natural selection was published by Darwin in the book Origin of Species. According to the Darwin, organisms compete with each other for survival. It means there is a one type of competition is there for the survival, and the organism that the morphological or physiological factor to win the competition outnumbers the one that lacks it, and thus survive while the rest perish. It means though the living organism which shows the modification, that organism only can survive in the environment, and therefore the name given as the natural selection. It means the nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live. Therefore the name given as the Darwin's theory of natural selection. There are some objects to the natural selection theory. Now let us see which are the objections or objects are there. This theory is not the only factor responsible for the evolution. After that, it does not explain useless modification, and it does not explain slow or abrupt changes. So these are some objectives are there which are raised against the natural selection theory. Now see the next one point about the Lamarckism. Here, morphological changes occurring during evolution is the result of activities or laziness of that organism. According to the Lamarck, the whatever morphological changes occurring in the living organism, these are responsible for the evolution. And in that he explained some examples related to the Lamarckism. Lamarckism is also known as the acquired theory of inheritance. Why it is known as the acquired theory of inheritance? Because the concept is based upon the principle of use or disuse. In that, if we will see the example of ostrich, here wings of ostrich and emu have become weak because they do not fly and thus do not use it, and giraffe constantly browses on long trees due to which it acquired long neck. In next one slide, if we will see the picture related to the giraffe here, observe it carefully. The neck of giraffe has become too long due to the browsing on leaves of tall plants. So it is a one type of a acquired character is there. So these characteristics get transferred from one generation to the other and are acquired due to the activities performed by the organism, and hence they are acquired characteristic and they are transferable. This phenomenon can be called as a ancestry of acquired character. Now let us see the next one point is about the speciation. Now speciation means what? Formation of new species of plants and animals due to the evolution is called as speciation, and Factors responsible for speciation are habitat, food, genetic variation, geographical conditions and reproductive changes. Now let us see the next one point is human evolution. Here the morphology of this human-like animal started or appear like to be the member of the genus Homo, and about 20 lakh years ago, and thus skilled human developed. When skilled human developed? About 20 lakh years ago. 15 lakh years ago, human walking with erect posture was evolved. It may have existed in China and Indonesia of Asian continent. After that, evolution of upright man continued in the direction of developing its brain for the period of about 1 lakh years, and meanwhile it discovered the fire also. Brain of 50,000-year-old man had been sufficiently evolved to the extent that it could be considered as member of the class wise man, and it is known as the Homo sapiens. And Neanderthal man can be considered as the first example of wise man. Who is the first example of wise man? Neanderthal. And the Cro-Magnon man evolved about 50,000 years ago, and afterwards this evolution had been faster than the earlier. Now related to the human evolution, in next slide we will see the journey of human. Now if you will see it carefully, in that you can see the first picture here. See it carefully. 7 crore years ago, the monkey-like animal is evolved from the ancient animal like lemur. After that, 4 crore years ago, that monkey-like animal, you can see here, the tail of that monkey started to disappear, and the name given as Egyptopithecus. What is the name given to that monkey? Egyptopithecus. After that, about 2 crore 50 lakh years ago, Dryopithecus evolved, and in this stage he started to use their hands for eating or for other work. After that, 1 crore years ago, Ramapithecus evolved. Ramapithecus is known as the human-like animal, and after that 40 lakh years ago, Australopithecus evolved. Here, after the Australopithecus, 20 lakh years ago, skilled human evolved, and after that 15 lakh years ago, man with erect posture evolved. After that, 1,50,000 years ago, Neanderthal evolved, which is known as the wise man, and at last you can see here 50,000 years ago, Cro-Magnon man evolved there. This is about the journey of human. After that, we will see the development of human brain. If you will observe it carefully, you can see there is some changes. You observe, you can from the first picture to the last picture. It means the shape of brain started to evolve or started to change from first figure to or from first picture to the last picture, and this is about the development of human brain. About 10,000 years ago, wise man started to practice the agriculture. When wise man started to practice the agriculture? About 10,000 years ago, and it started to rear the cattle, herds, and established the cities, and cultural development took place. After that, art of writing was invented about 5 years ago. When art of writing invented? About 5,000 years ago, and thus history had been started. Modern sciences emerged about 400 years ago, and industrial society was established about 200 years ago, and now we have reached at this stage, and still we are searching the details of root of human ancestry. So it is the last point of the lesson. Here in this video we have discussed about the important points of the lesson. Thank you.